Many people don't understand what's happening with Ripple, XRP, and Bitcoin, and as a result, they'll stay poor. Michael Saylor is aware of this too, and I don't think any of this is a coincidence. I believe that what we're experiencing right now is well planned and perfectly timed. And what you should be asking yourself now is, how much money do you want to make in this crypto cycle? How much money is enough for you? How much do you need to be rich? How long have you been in the crypto world? And in the end, what do you want to have achieved? These are very simple questions, and years ago I asked people what being rich basically means to them. According to many surveys, it's about $5 million or euros. Many people think being rich means having 10, 20, 50, or even 100 million, but that's actually called wealth. Wealth starts right after 5 million. The idea behind this is, for every million you invest, you can expect an average return of about $6,000 or euros, especially with real estate. With 5 million, that would be 30,000 per month. That is considered extremely wealthy because the average person doesn't have that much. So basically, it's about how you achieve that and what you want from the market. And now we see that people are being pushed out of the crypto market. Take Ripple XRP as an example. There was a guy who said, or recently said, imagine years ago XRP cost 1 cent. When it rose above $2, it suddenly became unattainable for many. You might not think that $2 is a lot, but people were used to buying tens of thousands of XRP for very little money. If XRP then rises to $5 or $10, people think with $100 I only get 10 XRP. But the problem is that at some point XRP might cost $100 or even $450. I know that's still far away, but that's how many people think. And at some point the price will be much higher, and then you look back and say, I should have bought at $2, not at $450 or $500. Do you remember how cheap Bitcoin used to be? There were times when one Bitcoin was worth just a cent, 50 cents, or $1. But when you imagine that Bitcoin could one day be worth $100,000, you think, sure, if I had a time machine, I would have invested back then. And that's something many people can hardly imagine. It sounds unbelievable that one day you might not be able to get into the crypto market anymore because the prices are simply too high, for example, with Bitcoin or Ripple XRP, Ethereum, and so on. That's because we're living in the here and now. It's only when you look back that you realize how cheap it once was. And there are even people who believe that just a few thousand XRP could make someone a millionaire. And that fits with what we discussed at the beginning. Many people enter the crypto world with the idea of making money, but they often can't imagine just how much that could actually be. Yesterday, I spoke with an acquaintance, and she told me that her son bought Bitcoin years ago, but the big problem is he didn't believe in the future of Bitcoin and sold his Bitcoin when it went up. And now he's upset that he sold his Bitcoin, because now Bitcoin has risen to $100,000 per Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin reaches $100,000 per Bitcoin, it will also reach $200,000, $250,000, $500,000 per Bitcoin, and even $1 million per Bitcoin. And many people don't believe in that, or they don't really believe in the longevity of the currency. Let's take, for example, Bitcoin being at $25,000. It's not hard to believe that Bitcoin could rise to $30,000. At $50,000, you think $60,000 or $70,000 is definitely possible in a few years. But when Bitcoin is at $100,000 and someone says it will go to $1 million, then it becomes hard for many to believe. You start to wonder, $1 million for one Bitcoin? How is that supposed to work? Even with all the evidence right in front of us that we can already see, many people still have doubts. And that's the reason why many people in the crypto world don't really pay attention. The numbers for the future just sound too crazy. And when Kathy Wood from ARK Invest says Bitcoin is going to $1 million and it's currently at 50,000, many people think maybe in 20 years, or when XRP is at 1 cent and someone says it's going to rise by 30,000%, people think that's unrealistic. We see the same thing with Bitcoin again and again. And what many people don't realize, Bitcoin will always be there. Other cryptocurrencies might still exist as well, but Bitcoin is clearly at the top. And some even believe that anyone holding 10,000 XRP could see huge profits later if, for example, XRP rises to $50 or $100 per XRP. And many people don't realize that soon most people won't be able to afford such amounts anymore. The average person doesn't even have $5,000, let alone money to invest. And how many times do I have to say it? Many people can't even afford 0.01 Bitcoin anymore, which is currently about $1,000. Think about Bitcoin. Back then, Bitcoin cost $700, then $1,800, $3,000, and today we're at tens of thousands of dollars. The logic is always the same. If something rises to 100,000, then 111,000 follows, then 126,000, and later even 200,000 or 250,000. And this stepwise way of thinking applies to many investments, but most people can't get in early and later just watch as they miss the opportunity and get frustrated about it. It's actually sad. And do you know how crazy the increases in value can be? How crazy they could be in the future? Many people can hardly imagine it. Inflation, time, and demand make things like this possible, and many don't understand that Bitcoin keeps getting bigger and that the Bitcoin price will continue to rise. Just listen to what Michael Saylor said about this in his interview with Jordan Peterson. It's totally insane. And yet, even though we consistently keep hearing this crucial information, and even though we visibly see it unfolding all the time right before our very eyes, a significant majority of people still find themselves unable to get in early enough to capitalize on these emerging trends, or they simply choose not to buy into them at the opportune moment. Consequently, they later find themselves in a position where they can only passively watch from the sidelines, observing with growing frustration and profound annoyance as these opportunities, which they could have seized, slip away, leaving them to regretfully contemplate how they completely missed out on such a potentially lucrative and transformative chance to participate and benefit.
And so I'm a big believer in the utilization of that as an instrument. And so if that becomes true and you want to, and you see that it could be a proper hedge against maybe say securities or equities, the question is, could you see a 2 or 5% allocation? I was with a sovereign wealth fund during this week, and that was the conversation. Should we have a 2% allocation? Should we have a 5% allocation? If everybody adopted that conversation, then, it would be 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 for Bitcoin. Well, there does it. Also, I'm not PR promoting that, by the way. So that is not my promotion or.
It's a bit like owning a whole Bitcoin or buying 50 Ether. Ether used to cost 50 cents or $2. When it was new, people said, don't buy that. That's a scam. It's not going anywhere. But meanwhile, investors were buying up huge amounts. Some have 22,000 or 35,000 Ether in their wallets because they got it so cheaply. And when you look back, you realize just how crazy those increases are, and of course, how much you could have missed out on if you didn't get in, didn't take action, and just listened to others. And how many people bought XRP when it was still just $1? And now there are people saying that if you have 10,000 XRP, you could soon become a millionaire. And just imagine, 10,000 XRP could one day be worth $2.5 million. Sounds totally crazy, right? But here's the big thing. Most people don't even have 500 XRP or the money to buy that much. A lot of people already feel pushed out of the market, out of Bitcoin, out of the crypto market, thinking it's too late or too expensive. But I'm telling you, that's not true. We're still early, and you can still start small and gradually build something up. It's a bit like real estate. You don't have to buy a huge house or a big villa right away. A small apartment is enough too. And with that, you already have more than billions of other people on the planet. It's the same with cryptocurrencies. Even if you can only buy 100 or 200 coins, that's totally fine. If these cryptocurrencies perform well, you could already have thousands of dollars or euros by the end of the year. And if you keep doing this for 10 years, you'll have a really solid portfolio and a cushion for retirement. And many people think you need millions from the start, but that's not how most people made their money. It just takes time. Sure, we want everything right away. We want to get rich instantly, achieve financial independence, but it's a process that's worth it if you stick with it. And right now, big companies and institutions are buying up Bitcoin, XRP, and Ether like crazy. They're doing this before the prices explode, and while you might not be paying attention, suddenly there might be nothing left for you. If people can't even afford 0.01 Bitcoin now, how are they supposed to do it when Bitcoin rises to $1 million per Bitcoin? Or XRP? How are they supposed to get 1,000 XRP when XRP, for example, is at $10, $20, or $50? XRP will go above $10, above $15, almost $20. That's clear. 1,000 XRP at $20 is 20,000. And that's a lot of money. And what if XRP rises even further because it's used more than, say, Swift? How many people will be left outside just watching from the sidelines? How many will miss out on the future of money? That's why so many countries are buying cryptocurrencies and putting them in their vaults. It's definitely something to think about, but don't panic. You're already in. And that makes you special right now. Because billions of people will still enter the market and wish they had bought at these prices. So make sure you don't get pushed out. Build something for yourself, create wealth, a legacy for your family, and of course, for yourself. You're early. This is your chance, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to secure your cryptocurrencies and build crypto financial independence, click the link in the description below the video. Take a look at it. It's important that you take action now because most people can't even imagine the huge change we're about to experience. Remember, billions of people will still enter this market. What we're seeing right now is just the beginning of what's coming our way. So don't let panic or anything else push you out of this market.